I don't think the Florida market's going to crash, and here are the 3 reasons why. Now, there's a lot of fear out there. Facebook, CNN, Fox, all saying there's going to be a housing crash in Florida. Well, in this video, I'm going to show you why I believe there's not going to be a housing crash in Florida. I'm going to show you some great data. I'm going to let you know some things that you didn't know about Florida, the reasons why people are going to keep moving here, and why I believe, and I'm going to show you why there is not going to be a housing crash in Florida. All right, so reason number 1 why I believe that there's not going to be a housing crash in Florida actually has 2 parts. The one is strong economic growth, and I'm actually going to get into some stats here a little bit later about that strong economic growth. They're going to help you understand why I think that Florida is going to keep growing, and there's not going to be a crash here. There's going to be more and more people here, and I'm going to show you some of that stats here later. The second is low unemployment. I'm going to get right into that here right now. The national average is actually 3.5% unemployment. Florida has 2.3. So let's get into a little bit of the reasons on that strong economic growth. Why is it strong economic growth? Well, Florida is a great place to come and live. It's got sunshine, beaches, we know about all of that. Well, the second is, did you know this, that Florida actually is the 2nd largest producer of beef in the United States? Florida is always going to be producing beef. The United States is going to continue to eat beef, so that's why I think that's part of our strong economic growth. The second part is, speaking about produce or speaking about food, produce. We're actually the 2nd largest producer of vegetables and fruit next to California. All right, so that's a part of economic growth that isn't going to go away. We're going to continue to need food, and Florida is going to continue to provide that. Let's dig into a few of the other reasons. One is no state income tax. Well, why does a no income tax help a state to grow, or why does that bolster the economy? Well, when you have companies moving in from outside the state that don't have to pay state income tax, 15%, you're looking at in California, Massachusetts, and so forth. If you don't have that state income tax, that's very, very attractive to a corporation and their bottom line if they're not paying that extra percent tax back to the state that they're in. So let's dig into this a little bit further. Florida has consistently been at the top location of millions of Americans' spring break, summer vacations, all those kind of things. Florida's continued to remain as one of the top destinations in America. Now, even before COVID, 2/3 of the residents of Florida actually came in from outside the state. 1/5 of those residents actually came from outside of the country, from Brazil, Colombia, Eastern Europe, and so forth. From April 2020 to April 2021, 330,000 people moved here in Florida. That's equal to about 903 people per day moving to Florida. Now, if that's not going to bolster economic growth, I can't tell you what is. The thousands of people moving are in part of a national trend of citizens leaving blue states, going to red states. Red state being Texas. People are moving from California to Texas. People are moving from Illinois to Tennessee. People are moving from the blue states of New Jersey, Massachusetts, and so forth down here to Florida. This is just a trend. I'm not making it a political thing, but it's a fact. The migration hub has clearly paid off. The state has gained over $200 billion in investments and economic activity from other states in the last 2 decades. So remember, this is before the pandemic. This is now after the pandemic. All of these criteria are still in place. The beef, the agriculture, the beaches, the low taxes. These are all reasons why people are going to continue to move to Florida, and I believe that that is going to be a reason why we are not going to have a housing crash in Florida. Let's dig into that second point a little bit. Low unemployment. Remember, the national average being 3.5 and Florida is at 2.3. Why is that? Well, the job opportunities, thanks to a business-friendly environment. Florida is one of the most powerful economic forces in the country. We have a GDP of $1 trillion. It is one of the most diverse economies. You got agriculture, you have beef, you have crypto. We're actually now considered the crypto capital of the world. Those low taxes creates a better business environment. Now, obviously, the tourism industry as a state, we have Disney World, we have Universal Studios, we got the Harry Potter, we got Legoland, but tourism isn't the only major job provider. Florida has a robust aviation and aerospace industry. We have Cape Canaveral, which now SpaceX is there. There's also multiple rocket launches that happen out of there. We have the cruises that come out of here. We have 11,750 clean tech companies registered in the state. It's also ranked as the 2nd in the country for pharmaceutical and medical manufacturing, hosts 46,000 healthcare establishments. Here's another thing I didn't know. Really started to dig into Florida. We have a vibrant sector of defense and homeland security. security, tech, financial services. Now remember, those come here because they don't have those large state income taxes. Remember, the defense industry is a huge industry, and if you're paying that extra state income tax for that defense, you're talking billion-dollar companies here, that really adds up to the bottom line. We're the crypto capital of the world. So that used to kind of be California, that was Silicon Valley, but now Miami is this hub. It's where you have young people going that are tech savvy, they're forward thinking, they're in the sun, just like they were in San Diego or San Francisco, but now they're in a state where they're not paying that state income tax. So that's a lot of the reason I know crypto kind of has gone downhill lately. It looks like it might be coming out. The point is, it's a state that really rewards and is attractive to business-minded people, and that's why I believe that our unemployment is at that 2.3 and the national average is at 3.5. So I hope that all of that rounds out when I say strong economic environment. You see from aerospace, agriculture, crypto, all of those low taxes, sun, beaches, tourism, all of that contributes to people wanting to move to Florida, and why I believe that's going to shore up our housing market. Now, the last bit that rounds this all out, I don't know if you're aware of this, but because of all of our ports and our ability to ship all around the world, we're actually the 7th largest exporter state in the country. 55.5 billion in exports from Florida. So all of these factors, I hope, round out your picture of why I believe that that strong economic environment is going to continue to shore up our housing market. It's going to continue to be attractive for people moving here for retirement that are on fixed incomes, that don't have to pay that state income tax. It's going to be a strong attractor for those companies that don't have to pay that corporate tax. It's going to be a strong attractor for people that work from home. They can work from anywhere. If you're going to work over Zoom, why wouldn't you be working in Florida rather than in Massachusetts, freezing your butt off and paying those high income tax? It just all makes sense from a strong economic standpoint that dovetails into why I believe that we will not have that economic crash or that housing crash in Florida. All right, so the second reason why I believe there's not going to be a housing crash in Florida is actually what is going on right now. We have actually had inventory increase in Florida for houses on the market. If we look back about a year ago, there was less than 1 month's supply of inventory given across Florida. Now, a housing market is considered under 3 months of inventory is actually considered a seller's market, meaning there's not a lot of inventory, so the supply is low, demand is high. That's what drove up the prices, and that's also what created those multiple offers and all of that. But actually, the inventory has increased since COVID is over, and we're in, actually, as of print here right now, we're in January of 2023. Actually, the inventory is increased by 4. So we have about 4 months of inventory. So remember, under 3 months of inventory, we have a seller's market. Between 3 and 6 months of inventory is a neutral market. Over 6 months of inventory is actually a buyer's market. So right now, we're actually in this neutral market. But here's the key. Here's what I want you to look at. Remember point number 1, all of these reasons, these economic reasons of why people are moving to Florida, okay? If we have an increase in inventory by 4 times, you would think that would drop prices. That is not the case. Prices have come down a bit, about 7% across the state. But if you look over the nation, the national average is almost down about 22%. If you look at states like California, Massachusetts, New York, you're seeing prices drop by almost 25 to 30%. Washington dropped by 37%. You're seeing massive drops. So in Florida, we actually have had the inventory rise, but we have not seen the prices drop. So that's where I say that's a strong indicator of why we are not going to see a housing crash in Florida. People are going to continue to move here for point number 1, and all of those points that I illustrated about the economics of Florida, why people want to move here. And I think that the stats that I just went over with you, that we actually have 4 times the inventory. Now, you buyers, the buyers out there actually have an opportunity now, but those prices have not dropped significantly. So I think that second reason is showing you why the housing market in Florida is not going to crash. The third reason I think there's not going to be a housing crash in Florida is a 4-letter word, and it ain't the F word, and it ain't the C word that you might be thinking about. It's the C word, cash. Now, remember the first point where I said 1/5 of the people that are actually moving to Florida are from outside the country? Well, they can't get a loan. So there's all this talk out there about interest rates. I don't know when you're watching this now, but right now here in 2023, in 2022, we had a rise in interest rates, and that actually did suppress purchasing because people could buy less. Okay, I get that. And we felt that in Florida here for sure as well. But remember, go back to that word cash. These people coming from outside the country, they can't get a loan. They have to use cash. The cash is going to continue to shore up our housing market. When you have 1/5 the people moving here that don't need to get a loan, they aren't looking at interest rates. Now remember, we still have people moving from California, Illinois, Alaska, all over the place who are using cash. We're continuing to have people move here, use cash, so interest rates do have an effect, but due to that mechanism of financing that people are using with cash, I do believe that that's also a small little point that people are not paying attention to that will also continue to shore up the housing market in Florida. So I hope that all three of those reasons will help you understand that maybe the FOMO you're looking at out there, you're looking at Fox, you're looking at CNN, they're saying the housing market's crashing and so forth. Remember, that's fear-mongering. There's a lot of great reasons why people are going to continue to move here. There's a lot of great reasons why corporations are going to continue to move here. Remember, it's just over 900 people a day moving to Florida. So those are my three reasons why I do not believe that there's going to be a housing crash in Florida. Now, if you like this content, please subscribe below. And if you want to know what it's actually like to live here in Florida, please look at this video above in our beautiful Jensen Beach, what it's like to live in Jensen Beach. Please click on that. And if you want to know about Fort Pierce, that hidden little gem, please check out this video on Fort Pierce. Till the next time, I'm Alex Haigh with Haigh today, and we'll see you again.